Hello, everybody. Good to see everyone. My name's Elena with Forge Breast Cancer Survivor Center, and we're here for a little art prompting moments with Elizabeth Vanderkamp. And so, Elizabeth, if you wouldn't mind just kind of treating us to some special instructions, we would love to hear more.
Thanks, Elena. Hi, everybody. As she said, I'm Elizabeth, and coming up is a holiday that I don't know about you, but there was a time where I did not like Valentine's Day. I just thought, bleh, chocolate, flowers, gushy, romantic dinners, no thank you. But then I heard the story of Saint Valentine, and whatever your faith tradition, I think there's some really beautiful things about it. So I'm going to give you a condensed version of Saint Valentine. Now, he was a priest who lived in the 3rd century of the Roman Empire. And while he was living, the emperor, Claudius II, was a warmonger and constantly looking for soldiers to fill up his army to conquer more lands, as if the Roman Empire didn't have enough. Well, Claudius figured out that the young married men did not want to be part of his army. So being the clever, awful man that he was, he outlawed marriage because he thought if the men were single, they would be more likely to join his army. Well, when marriage was outlawed, Valentine thought this was terribly wrong, not in humanity's interest or God's interest. So he would secret couples away and marry them in private. And sadly, Valentine got caught. He was thrown into prison, but his prison cell was in a basement on the streets of Rome. And there was a little window, and he could just see people's feet walking by. But people started throwing notes into Valentine when they knew that that's who was in there. And so he threw notes back saying, "Thank you." And that's why we send Valentines to this day. So maybe that'll change your view of Valentine's Day, maybe not. And I'd just like to share one other thing about our hearts. I know that a lot of you out there are living with and going through treatment of breast cancer, or perhaps caring for someone who's going through that. And our hearts, I don't know about you, but if I say, "Oh, I learned it by heart," I touch my heart. I don't say, "Oh, I learned it by head." So our hearts, scientists have realized, our hearts actually communicate to our brains more than the other way around, because there's actually a brain in our hearts. There are neural cells in our hearts. Our hearts know things. Our hearts know love. And the more we give love to ourselves, the more we have to give to each other. And in fact, we have an electromagnetic field around each of us. And the more we love, the more that love goes out. It's almost like, I don't know if anybody's heard of this, but there's a virus going around called COVID. Well, with our hearts, we could spread love further than COVID. So one way to do this, I have found, is through the work of my hands. And we have today, we're doing art from the heart. And so I just printed off a heart from my computer, and we're going to send you a PDF of a heart. And I love to just play around with shapes and designs, especially flowers and leaves and things like that. So here's just a heart with different floral patterns on it. So that might be something fun to do. But sometimes I'm not in a floral mood, and maybe you aren't either. I just need lines. So here's a heart where I just took a ruler and I just drew straight lines, because sometimes rules are necessary. Sometimes we want a way to go with our hearts. So that's another idea. And of course, we can always add colors to our heart. Our color of our heart in the chakra system is actually green. I think we represent it in pink and red because our blood is pumped through our heart, but our heart can be any color we want it to be. So this one's green and pink and a little bit of blue and purple. So that might be something fun to play with, is what color is my heart today? Maybe it's yellow, maybe it's brown, maybe it's polka dotted or zigzag. It can be whatever we want. And then this one, this is lines and shapes and circles and flora. And if I knew how to draw fauna, I would put fauna in here, but I don't know how to draw animals. So it's just, I just call this one a whimsical heart. So this might spark an idea of there are no rules. And as I said, we're gonna send you a PDF of just a blank heart. And one other thing that's kind of fun to do, and we have some art like this at the Forge House, is just draw lines like anywhere we want. And then go back and, okay, in this shape, I'm gonna fill in circles. In this shape, I'm gonna fill in X's. In this shape, I'm gonna fill in tiger whiskers, whatever we want it to be. I just, I'm glad to be with you for these few minutes to say our hearts really can bring us home, and our home is love and our breath. And if we let our hearts communicate with our heads, perhaps using our hands too, by just focusing on this one thing, that who knows what we can do next. So I wish you all a very, very early happy Valentine's Day, and I can't wait to see you next time. Thanks.